Private equity is a very, very high paying job.
I worked for 10 rupees a day and the company was bankrupt.
Do you want it to take like a revenge?
I had nothing to do with the CA. You have seen the life cycle of various businesses going up and down. That is a great credential for a private equity guy. He said, there are so many chartered accountants, don't waste your time. Then I thought, India is not the place, let me go out of the country. Nothing can happen without a good team.
Private equity is a very, very high paying job. When we open a position in our company for a private equity, we receive 50 applications for one position. Yes, the ratio is 50:1. But you know what? Not everyone is fit for the private equity positions. If you are not able to master your emotions, you are absolutely ill-fitted. Let us find out from today's guest what he looks at in his candidate when he hires for his fund. We have Sridhar Ramachandran. Hi Sridhar, welcome to Life Around Blue Grey Black. Thank you so much for taking time out. For the viewers, Sridhar is a private equity professional and started his career from a very humble background. And I requested him to come on our show and share his thoughts on how to build career in private equity space. Sridhar, when we were talking offline, you mentioned that you were in Tamil medium for quite a few number of years of your life, and then you started studying CA, then cost accountancy, CPA, and then worked all across. So, do you wanted to take like a revenge from that schooling that I want to cover up everything under the sky? Or what was the reason behind taking up so many degrees?
Varun, and thank you for having me here. And in fact, I was very intrigued when you said life around blue, gray, and gray and black. So it's a very nice, theme, because in life we all, as much as we would like to have it white and black, it is never. So it is always, adaptability. Which we call it now gray, because we have to survive in the world with others.
You should not get confused with the gray hair we have.
that I have it plenty. So basically, see, I come from a humble family. My father was a factory worker in Chennai, and the affordability was that I had to study in a corporation government-funded school. So, Tamil medium, I studied from grade 1 to grade 10. And suddenly, when you move to higher secondary, 11th and 12th in English medium, I remember a classic, I was in economics class. My mother always used to say, sit in the first row, then you will learn better. Then I realized that she didn't want my attention to get diverted because the teacher will be looking at you. So that was the reason why she always said, sit in the first row. I realized it much later. So I used to write the economics dictation in Tamil. The Indian economy is the best economy. If I write it, I'll write in Tamil and go home, take a dictionary and start translating. And
wonderful.
That is how I learned. And once it so happened, the teacher caught me. He said, how the hell you are writing my lecture in Tamil? Get up. He said, who's a butcher? I said, I could not understand anything. Then he gave me a slap at the 11th grade. All my friends were looking at me. I started crying. And then he said, are you a Brahmin? Yes, I'm a Brahmin. That means you don't know who is a butcher? Man who cuts the meat. Then that day I decided I have to score well in economics, and I stood school first. And he appreciated. I said, sir, don't appreciate me. Your slap worked it.
Okay.
Today, if you do anything, you will be under jail. You'll be in jail if you do something like that. So that was that's how I migrated from Tamil medium to English medium. And I read my Hindi, typical reasons why Hindi was not taught in government schools in those days, and even today. I could not learn Hindi. But after coming to Bombay, managing.
Okay. So your love to learn economics started in the school days only, and then did you actually plan your career? It was just to the flow of the water.
See, I did want to pursue medicine, but I was told that only rich kids can go to medicine because you have to pay 1 lakh donation to get a seat. And my father's salary itself was not half of that in those days. So that left out, and I moved to commerce subjects. And then I never regretted.
Very good. So you did your CA.
And before that, let me give you a little bit of. It was not an easy journey, as many people would have it the same way. When you come from humble background, and I finished my higher secondary, then one of my uncles said, "Why don't you work during this holidays until you get your college seat?" So I started, and my family needed that money. So I, by the time, typical my middle class family background, I learned typewriting higher, shorthand before I passed out my 12th. These are all extracurricular, activities, and that helped me to get a job as a typist and accountant in a real estate firm. And I worked for 10 rupees a day, and then I got a seat in the day college for BCom. But then my money was important. I used to be paid weekly wages, 70 rupees. All 7 days I had to work. I had to sign a voucher for 70 rupees every Saturday. And that is how I started working during that period, morning 9:30 to evening 5:30. Then my boss said, "Why don't you join evening college? Anyway, you need the money." So I did BCom in the evening college. So my days used to start at 7:30 in the morning from my home. And I used to go back after my college at 10:30. And that was my 3 years of my college, and never had any other opportunity to play sports or anything. Though I played a little cricket, but nothing much to do. After BCom, as I thought I was earning 300 rupees a month. Now I'm an accountant. I will become 600 rupees. That's what I thought. And somebody said, "You scored well. Why don't you do CA?" And somebody recommended to a chartered accountancy firm, and I joined. And the pressure started. My stipend was 60 rupees, 100 rupees, 150 rupees. Those days, I'm talking 84, 87 CA. I passed out in 87. And my father said, "Don't ask me any wealth. I don't have anything. If you want to study, you study." So that was a good motivation. And both my parents supported. And I did my CA in the first attempt. I must have been in the top, 50 or 60 or whatever.
Very nice.
And there was 2.5% result those days. Passing both groups was quite tough. 2.5% was the result in 87, November. And I got then simultaneously I started doing my ICRB also. The following year I passed out ICRB. CPA I did when I was 40.
Okay, that's interesting.
And that I will come to it a little later. And if I can continue, can I continue?
Yes, please.
So I got, I was interviewed by a few companies, and I was hoping to get into Hindustan Lever as a management trainee and all of that. Then suddenly my interesting experience when it comes to interview, I was interviewed by Asian Paints, and the vice president finance or somebody. He asked me a very straightforward question. Sridhar, do you prefer equity or debt if you want to fund your project? I looked at it, 30 seconds, I just thought about it. I said, in the long run, equity is better. And I was rejected. And today, if we go back to see Asian Paint, they have been debt-free for the last 30 years. So,
and look at the share price as well of Asian Paints. I think that's the only.
It is a darling of the stock market all the time.
Yeah.
So that was the interview, and then I met the boss who was my real estate company head. I went, and my father thought I had done a great thing, so he printed a business card those days, ACA and all of that. So I went and met him after 3 years. He said, "What are you doing?" "Oh, I'm going to join, some large company like Hindustan Lever." He said, "There are so many chartered accountants. Don't waste your time. I've got 2 properties in Coimbatore. You go take over as a branch manager." I said, "I worked as a typist and accountant for you. I don't have any idea about real estate and building apartments and all of that." No. You are capable enough to go do that. And I was moved to Coimbatore, and I built close to 3 apartments, one shopping and office complex until 1990, where I learned sales, marketing,
Mm-hmm.
project construction, dealing with the corporation plans, dealing with customers, dealing with contractors. That was, I had nothing to do with the CA, and
Yeah.
everything was absolutely different. And that gave me the good background, because chartered accountants are basically very intelligent people, but they are not articulate enough. That is my assessment in those days. Things have changed now, and that gave good confidence how to market yourself. Those days, to sell an apartment, I used to sell at 330 rupees a square foot. To give an advance of 20,000 rupees, I have to convince the person, his wife, his mother, father, father-in-law, mother-in-law, grandmother, grandfather. Then only I will get the 20,000 rupees deposit. So the trust was important. Not
Yes.
like today, when you get on online, you book even without seeing the site. 10 lakhs rupees you
Yeah.
pay the advance. Those days were different. So it was hard selling, hard marketing. And you're going to have the relationship with them until you hand over, post handover, and all of that. So that I learned it very, very early. And then I think 91, 92 January, I decided India was in bad shape. I left the job, then I joined a company called Bini in Chennai. It was a big textile mill. They had a real estate division. I joined, and then the labor went on strike. They didn't want to develop the properties. It was in BFR. Then in 91, India pledged our gold, and our economic situation was bad. I was getting 5,000 rupees as a chartered accountant, cost accountant. You can name anything. Then I thought, India is not the place. Let me go out of the country. And
Okay.
normally, for people like chartered accountant, the immediate destination is Middle East. And incidentally and unfortunately, my wife was held as a hostage in 1990 when Saddam invaded Kuwait on 2nd of August.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
she was held as a hostage when she was coming back from the US. And she was there for 24 days. Then our foreign minister, I.K. Gujral, brought her an Air Force plane, and that story happened. So somehow I
Mm-hmm.
did not have an inclination to go to Middle East. I went to a
Okay.
country called Rwanda. Now people may know that country. Those days, nobody knew where Rwanda was. It was a
Yeah.
small dot in Central Africa. When you go to a
Yeah.
library and say there was no internet, you go to an encyclopedia, it'll give you Rwanda has gorillas. Gorilla in the Mist movie was taken. Good for bananas and papayas. That was the encyclopedia, two-line write-up about Rwanda. I landed in that country. It was a large textile mill. And I was there as a commercial and finance manager. And it's a landlocked country. My job was more commercial. Even a pin is imported. We used to make right from spinning, weaving, textile, a complete range up to socks, sweaters, whatever Central Africa needed, we produced it. And the
Okay.
commercial manager job was the most tough job, because if the machine breaks down, to get a part, you have to import from outside India, outside the country, outside Rwanda. And you need to apply for a license 4 months in advance. The country had $1 million limit for LC for the whole country. And you have to push your LC application there and still wait. Then only you can open the LC. Then you have to, nobody trusts Rwanda. So doing that for 2 years until 1994 beginning, we came back on vacation. Then the country
Mm-hmm.
went into crisis. 1 million people were killed. Genocide happened in 94. We didn't go back. So that was, and my wife and me, we worked in the company. My wife was MSc Textile. So she was taking care of the garment business, and I was taking care of the commercial and the finance function.
Interesting story, but still I'm waiting to answer that question. How come private equity? From
Now,
all the
private equity,
all these,
then I have to tell you the whole journey of the next 20 years, right?
yeah,
So
sure.
then I moved to Indonesia in 94 in May. And it was 600 million dollar company. They were putting a PTA plant. They were big in textile engineering. So I joined them as a head of entire one plant, finance and commercial functions. Then within 3 months, the president of the company, chairman of the company, met me when the president of Botswana had come. We want to do a project in Africa. And my immediate boss said, Sridhar has worked in Africa. So I was given a time of half an hour to prepare a project report for South Africa and Botswana, $100 million investment. And maybe he tested me, and he was a great visionary. And that was a moment that changed my life. And I was able to give a project report, 2-page project report for the president to sign off. And it was approved the same moment. and I was shifted to his office as an executive assistant. And from 95 to 98, we became a $2 billion company. We acquired a lot of companies across the world. I used to travel around the world doing things for him as an executive assistant. Learned a lot of things, worked with the great people of the world across nationalities. We had automotive plant, we were putting up a steel plant, pulp plant, and all of that. So that experience was great as an executive assistant. Then 98 came, you had Asian crisis, Asian financial crisis. Indonesia was worst hit. Then you had, the political crisis happened in Indonesia where the president was overthrown. And we had 20,000 people, 600 expatriates. And one of my job at the time, the crisis, the country was fleeing. And my chairman said, you and 3-4 of us, we got together, airlift all the families of expatriates. So we chartered about 4 Air India planes, sat in Jakarta airport. I used to write manual tickets for all the passengers, child, adult, female, male, prepare a manifest. Air India said, we have no staff. These are the empty tickets. You write your tickets and you airlift. And we used to, 3 or 4 of us got together, and people used to come from various plants across Indonesia. Until they boarded the plane, we will be there from morning 5:30 until 6 o'clock. The plane leaves, and then you go back home. And my wife was 9 months at the time, and that was 1 week was very, very stressful because the whole country was burning, country was leaving, things happened, political turmoil happened, and all of that. Then they settled down. And my chairman came back from South Africa. He said, Sridhar, I want you to go to South Africa. I said, for what? No, I have removed the people who are doing the project there. They have not done it for last 3 years. Project is delayed. And I want you to go and take over as a CEO. You can imagine, from executive assistant, suddenly you're going to a new country like South Africa. I used to go to South Africa to monitor what is happening. I used to tell him the projects are delayed, nothing is happening and all of that. So I shifted along with my wife in 98 to South Africa, and the project was delayed by almost 3.5 years, $10 million cost overshot. I saved all of that in 10 months, went into commercial production with no background of operation experience. Putting up the plant, and I used to speak Bahasa Indonesia. So I had a team of Indonesian machinists and engineers coming from Indonesia. They can't speak English. Then I have a South African English team who were, helping the installation of the machines. So evening, 2 hours, I'll be translating Bahasa Indonesia to English and English to Bahasa Indonesia and sorting out their issues. Somebody does not have a hammer, somebody they lost it and all of that. So in 10 months, we went into commercial production. I had the opportunity to meet ex-President Mandela personally. He said, build a rainbow management. And that I took it seriously. We had Indians, we had colors in our management and across our system. And I did not want to have the HR concept. I introduced something called human asset development. And post-apartheid, people have gone through a lot of mess in South Africa. They needed to be given dignity, respect. The toilet that we took over, the company had a hole for the Africans, and they had newspaper cut into paper roll as a tissue paper. That was what the condition of the people that they had. I built a 5-star toilet for them and a canteen, and I did not have a trade union for 3 years because I was able to take care of them very well.
Very nice.
Then in 2001, because my company in Indonesia faltered, because 60 banks collapsed in Indonesia, along with all corporates collapse, and we had borrowed $1 billion of debt, and these debts are defaulted, and corporate guarantees fail. I am also bringing all the corporate stories so that for your viewers to know what crisis can do and how to manage that crisis. And in the
never
process,
waste a good crisis as well, right? So,
I am a crisis manager. All the time. So we were told all overseas. We used to own Hext, entire European business, Brand Revira. We used to have companies in India, in the US. So we were told liquidate everything and bring the money back. So I started this company as a first employee. I had close to 2,300 people. I put them into bankruptcy and sold it to another bidder, peacefully transited. And I took a break of 3 months. I thought I need to have this break because, operation successful, patient died. You had so much passion, and I was hardly 35, 38. I said, I need to take a break. Then I did CPA in the US, in Colorado State. Then I went back to Indonesia in 2002. And I was there until 2004, restructuring the debts of $2 billion, $1 billion, and all sorts of things. Then I moved to Hong Kong after 10 years of working with them, good period and the bad period. And you managed all of that. And Hong Kong was a large apparel business. We had 2 factories in Sri Lanka, 1 factories in Bangladesh, 1 China. We used to make about 1 million pieces a month, and that was not doing well. So I turned around the business in 12 months' time, making it to profit, and ruthlessly, smilingly, but be firm. And when you do all these type of turnarounds, then I came to India in 2008 as a CEO for a company, listed company in India, where Lehman had invested just 8 months before, and the company was bankrupt. Can you imagine that? And we had we had 2 joint auditors. And I am a new CEO. Suddenly, my CFO comes and tells me we had factories from Himachal Pradesh to Coimbatore, and we were one of the largest.
So before the investor before the investor got collapsed, the company got collapsed, right?
No, actually, it was simultaneous, and it so happened. It helped me when Lehman collapsed to go and tell my bankers Lehman collapsed, and restructure my debts. So fortunately, the bankers had the trust on me, and we told that management will stay by it and raise your hands, and we restructured the debt, and we came back profitable by 2009. Then I thought I came for something else from Hong Kong, and this is not happening. So let me move into one of my advisor, investment banker, was an expert in restructuring debts. He said, why don't you join us? You have a different ability, not just, and I had no idea about Indian regulation, accounting, company secretary law, nothing, because I left long time back. To catch up all these things, I don't have the capability. But then the situation puts you, if you're a leader, if you want to lead in the front, you're passionate to do something. It's like an intensive care unit, a doctor, treating an unconscious pathology patient. How serious it is, the man is not responding, you have to resuscitate him. It's a challenging job. At the time, no emotions, you have to focus. And when you do all of that, a lot of people start coming next to you, support you, and help you out. And as long as you don't show your egoism, your arrogance, that you are a great guy and all that, nothing can happen without a good teamwork. And that helped.
Agreed.
We turned around into profit. Then I joined the investment banking business, which was into debt restructuring. I spent until 2013. We did close to 20,000 crores of debt restructuring across various corporates across India. Then I moved into a Middle East-based investment banking firm as executive director. Then 2016, a private equity firm approached me. Sridhar, we would like to start something, and why don't you join us? And my entry into private equity is as recent as 5-6 years back. So I'm a late entry into the business. The good thing is I don't chase bonuses or profits just for the sake of investment. You need to do serious business, and you have seen the life cycle of various businesses going up and down. That is a great credential for a private equity guy. Just an MBA degree or a CA degree is not going to help. You need to have grounds, hands-on experience. Then only you can be a good investor. Still, things go bad. Even if you are a great investor, every top investor cannot claim that all their 100% of their investment have done money. 50% go down the drain, 50% successful, and that's where I fit into that same criteria. So that's my journey from operations to finance, real estate, CEO, engineering, automotives, and debt restructuring, M&A, then into private equity.
So hearing your story, Sridhar, now I'm sure many viewers who are from different background, and even if they are chartered accountants, they might be thinking how to transition from the current role to a private equity role. So hearing your story, it's not that difficult to transition from one domain to another domain. And ultimately, many financial professionals, they want to get into hedge funds or private equity. So here we have an example, and your story is quite incredible and quite adventurous as well. You saw Indonesia, you saw Iraq, both. So
Rwanda.
Rwanda, but Iraq, your wife was
in Kuwait, yeah.
In Kuwait, okay. So, okay, let's talk about private equity now. Just for the benefit of viewers, maybe we'll take 15 to 20 seconds. What is a private equity and what are different type of funds we have? And then we'll talk about how one can actually build a career in a private equity fund.
See, it is nothing but a group of investors coming and investing in a platform. Now, it could be venture capital, it could be angel funds, it could be private equity. In India, we have venture capital regulations are different, which is mainly into startups and all of that. Private equity can invest into matured companies, growth companies, or even distressed companies. They are governed by SEBI regulation under alternative investment fund, which is category 1, category 2, category 3. Your viewers can get to the detail. But basically, these funds come in and you are part of an asset manager. And the monies come into a trust, and then the asset manager takes a call what theme they want to invest. Whether they want to invest in growth companies. In growth companies, do you look at a particular sector, or you're sector agnostic, or you want to stick to a distressed asset or a turnaround theme, whatever theme you want to do. It could be equity, or it could be mezzanine debt, or it could be any form. So that is how the private equity plays. And you should have a tenure of, say, 5 to 6 years, whatever tenure that you would like to have. And you invest and you exit. All of that is part of private equity.
So typically, a private equity structure is such that you will have a group of associates and analysts, then you will have senior associates or maybe principals, and then general partners. 10 to 12 or maximum 15 people in one organization. So the opportunities are very limited for any new entrant, and the supply is too high, demand is too low. I'm talking about the talent here. But let me ask you a question from your side. How difficult is for you to actually hire a candidate for your fund, because you might be receiving 200, 300, 500 CVs when you open a position? Yes. How do you actually choose among all those candidates, and what are the criteria which you follow?
Right. We are a small team. We have total corpus of say 300 crores, and we have maximum 5-6 people, right?
Sure.
And the pressure is quite high, and each team will be one is what do we do in private equity? One is the investor puts in money. Now you have the kitty up money. How do you identify pipeline cases for your team? That's number one.
Sure.
Number two is you will have everybody asking for money, say 100 companies. Out of 100 companies, which is the one you are going to take a bet?
Agree.
And number three, post investment, how are you monitoring those companies against what they were promising you? And how much are you adding value to that company? And lastly, how do you exit and which method you exit, whether you are getting returns out of that. So I've combined these four as a job profile. Now, there is no perfect candidate. Let me put it that way. People have varied experience. I have taken raw candidates also, if they have adaptability, learning capability, right? Many large private, being a small private equity fund, we cannot afford to pay crores of rupees, right? So that is another big variant. If you want to go to Sequoia or to big companies, they will say, okay, you need to be in this. Can you show me how many exits you have done? Can you show me how much returns you have done from that business, whether you are an analyst or how many companies you have identified, all of that. I used to do some case study analysis to these people. And I have found many people are not in a position to do that. Whether you are a chartered accountant, CFA, whatever. I think I find the gap there because after studies, they lose touch with that. Now, when you start analyzing a balance sheet, not just balance sheet, annual report. So I'll tell them, I'll give you this case study. You are going to read the entire annual report. You are going to come and present to me. Is this company under stress? What are the models that you would like to do? See, easy to do DCF model and all of that. But I would like somebody to know what is the business model, right? The numbers I have seen, because having done the restructuring of debts, A-rated company becomes a D-rated company overnight, and we have seen enough of that. And banks go into toss and go into bankruptcy. Now, who missed it? Is the credit rating agencies missed it? Our promoters missed it? Our investors missed it? We have all those questions still unanswered, right? At the end of the day, money gets lost. So
Agreed.
This is what is the business model. What is the competition? Where is it emerging? Is this company has a moat? In what way? If I don't want numbers, don't give me high funda Harvard presentation to me. Explain to me in a simple word what this business is about, whether they can turn around this business or grow this business. That is all. If people don't intellectualize too much, get to common sense. Be an entrepreneur.
Dialogue in the movie Three Idiots. कहना क्या चाहते हो? I know your Hindi is not that great, but probably you would have got this line. There is a move. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So I agree what you're saying, analyzing a business or having a creative mindset and innovatively thinking on what can go wrong if I invest in this company. That is something which comes with the experience. But let us take an example of a fresh chartered accountant who has recently passed out, or a fresh MBA finance graduate, whether not from a Harvard or any university or any college. If they want to apply to private equity, they don't have a background in analyzing a business. They don't have a support on how to gauge how.
See, they don't have a practical experience. Okay,
exactly.
Now, still, it does not matter if you give a balance sheet to them, annual report to them. They are trained for 3.5, 4 years to read the balance sheet, annual report, and basic understanding of their business. All we are looking for is his own understanding of their business. Nobody is going to give a perfect answer, right? So do that project study. It is like a case study. Now, you can't fail in that. I mean, MBAs are trained to do case studies, right? Yeah. And chartered accountants, not so much, but they are good in numbers. And today, they can have an access to all the resources about the industry.
So, do you think degree is very important here, being a CEO or MBA finance, or you can actually hire an undergrad as well?
I would say some basic knowledge of accounting and finance is necessary.
Sure.
I'm not going to go which degree is important. I've seen great MBA guys doing pathetic job. I mean, highly scored MBA. Similarly, an average chartered accountant having a good common sense, he comes out successfully also. So I am open to all of those people. All I look for that is, have you understood what you are planning to do? If you are looking for a job, you need to do little hard work.
Sure.
And that is an opportunity. In fact, I do not reject any candidate because they are not articulate. Because they may be able to put it on record. I will tell them, either you explain to me what you have understood, if you are poor in writing down, or you give me a written down thing, I would still encourage you to do that.
Sure. That's a very good way of,
that is because I have worked in different cultures across the country. In Africa, people are not articulate, but they will do a great job, right? So I don't distinguish such people, but as long as you are able to put it across whatever way.
So you have a very long career journey, Sridhar. Do you feel there is a difference in talent in today's world versus when you passed your CA, or maybe like 20 years before today? So do you see there is a difference in the talent, the type of resources you meet now, the type of candidates you interview now? Have you seen a difference?
I would say yes. The difference, it has nothing to do with the educational qualification, right? But the talent coming in now, people are ambitious, aspirational, which was not there in those days. That time, it is stability. You want into a good company, and you are okay, right? As long as it meets your ends and you're happy. You did not get, otherwise I would not have started a job at 3,000 rupees, right? Or 5,000 rupees. When I became aspirational, I left the country. Now, today in India itself, that all the opportunities exist. Now, where I see the difference is the quality of people. Where it is affecting is they all are aspirational, but they are not passionate about what they want to do. That is something which I find if I get 55 applications, I'm able to pick up 5. All are CAs, all are MBAs, right? Why so? I would always say CV writing is a soul searching. Many people write responsibilities. I've handled this, whatever in the appointment order, they would have replicated there. Ask them, what did you accomplish? I always say, even the very first day you start working, start recording, what are you happy about? It could be very small, but you should have the guts to put, I did this, I failed here. That is where I pick up those candidates.
Agree. I get your point. Sridhar, our format is such that we sometimes also ask certain personal questions, and I'm expecting you answer those questions. Tell us something more about your family, your experience with growing kids. How did you manage your stress? Because private equity, or the way you have explained your journey, I'm sure you would not have got time to raise your kids. Probably like a government employee would do that, right, in India. How did you manage all that stress or all those time management things that we want to learn from you?
I'll tell you, it is a myth. People who are inefficient only will say they are all busy 24 hours, right? I have managed, let me tell you, since 1981, I'm working. Now, I got married very young in 1989, and my wife, Asha, and I have 2 boys. First boy is in Hong Kong working for a private equity fund. Second boy was born in Hong Kong. He is in the 10th grade here. And both of them have done very well. And I have spent as much time as every father would love to spend, and the son's expectation or the child's expectation. I have played with them. I would have played carom with my son 5,000 games, chess 2,000 games, cricket, nice. N number of cricket, and they're all good sportsmen today, basketball, soccer, football, and all of that. Now, I have never compromised on any of that. And I will make sure that time permits. But I will also tell you, when you are outside India, you need to have networking within your Indian community. I used to write skits, drama skits, comedy skits, act, direct, be a comparing thing in various forums. And then after coming to India, I wrote a book with all my experience, which is called The End of Samba Dance. It's a corporate fiction thriller. Then during COVID, I started painting. I was never a painter. Today, I have done more than 240 paintings of all forms. I spend 8 hours, 10 hours. And I still manage my online sessions on lectures on corporate governance or strategy. Yesterday, I completed ESG proficiency program for directors. And I spend at least 1 hour for my gym or my walking, and my weight is constant for the last 35 years.
Very nice.
And
so I think we will have to have another session to discuss how do you manage your day then, a day in the life of a private equity professional. I think I should do another session with you then.
We will be.
Because what you're telling me is unlike a private equity professional, because what we hear stories is the life is actually crazy. You have to spend crazy number of hours. And now your son is also in the same domain, which means he would have actually appreciated your style of working. Probably he would have got some inspiration from you as well. So you don't have a competition like Bachchan family in your house, like a senior Bachchan and junior Bachchan getting deals or not, getting movies or not.
I'll tell you, have a competition. They both are studying in IB curriculum, and they had to choose the subjects in 9th grade itself. Unlike other CBSE thing where you choose only in the 11th grade. So they have seen me, all the time. Yesterday, the economics teacher for my son said he was able to answer this question. You know why? The 20 minutes when I dropped my son from my home to the school, I put CNBC on my Bluetooth. And he's in the 10th grade. He has also taken same subjects, accounting, economics, and all of that, like the first boy. And he was able to absorb what is Fed rate, why they are increasing it, inflation. Now, this is something you should never push it in a formal way. You should bring it as a part of your routine. Then the child will be able to absorb. Then they will say, okay, where am I good at it? I will choose the subject. I have never pushed both the boys. You have to take the same subjects. They chose on their own. And they're happy as of today.
Okay, again, a protocol, we ask your life around blue grey black moment. Generally, we give option to our guests. They can share any moment from their life. But in your particular case, I am taking the liberty to ask any failure story. So you have shared a lot of successes in your life, but any failure where you felt everything is lost now, and then you came up handsomely, smartly after all that have been over.
Fortunately or unfortunately, every experience in my life has been learning. And whether it is my wife getting stuck in Kuwait, whether she's going to come back or not, you never know, right? Indonesia, the crisis, the country was in riots, and you're airlifting people. You're not going to know whether you're going to have a job or you're going to do anything. Then you're going to South Africa, and in 3 years' time, I had to put my whole company into bankruptcy. And I will tell you, a lot of people, I used to get so scared. What am I going to do? I have 2,300 employees. What am I going to tell them? Then I met my mentor, Sipko, who is in London. He said, Sridhar, no CEO is successful unless he has seen 2 bankruptcies in his life. Very, very important lesson when I was 38. Today, I don't get scared. The moment you know how low you can go, you're ready for everything. And that was one moment at that point of time. Everywhere there has been ups and downs in my life, personal life, because of various crises. I'm a turnaround expert today because I help companies to turn around. These companies don't even pay you salary on a monthly basis. But you still have the passion to turn them around, make it profitable so that everybody's lives are saved. So ups and downs is going to be there. And everywhere I have gone down, I have come up successfully. Because positive nature, be an optimist, never quit, but be realistic. You should know when to let go. In South Africa, when I had no choice, my banks pushed the thing. Indonesian parent company fails. You have to put it into bankruptcy. I put it into bankruptcy. That day, I wore a suit from Woolworths when I went to that bankers meeting that they are going to pull the rug. They called you in front of them as a CEO. Sridhar, we are pulling the rug today. Now, I know what is going to happen. And those are moments will always be in your mind, which will keep you humble right through your life. Many people would have come so easily in life, some of them, but life teaches you lessons at every point of time, provided you're willing to learn from it.
Beautiful lines, Sridhar. And I'm sure our viewers would have learned a lot today. And I don't want to call it a day because I want to talk to you more and more, but we have a limitation on the time as well. But definitely we will do another session sometime soon on a day in the life of a private equity professional. And to all our viewers, I'm sure you would have learned a lot from Sridhar.
But one thing I will tell all the viewers: be risk-taking ability. Take risk. Do not worry. The moment you know how low you can go, you are ready to face the world.
Great. Thank you so much, Sridhar. And I encourage my viewers to reach out to Sridhar on LinkedIn. I'm taking this liberty again, Sridhar.
Yes,
inviting my viewers to reach out to you for all the learning, for all the guidance in private equity space. And thank you again. So thank you so much for coming over, and we'll meet soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Varun. Thank you.
Thanks.